Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we cover all the major indoor football leagues, including the IFL, the AAL, the AF1, the NAL, the TAL. Did I miss any there on your background, TJ? I think I got all of them. All right, but on that note, we're going to go ahead and jump into a great episode. There's a couple great guests joining us today, as well as quite a bit of news to talk about. So we will go ahead and hit the intro video, wake you guys up a bit, and get right into another great episode. Once again, you're watching Around the Indoor Football World on Shady Sports Network, where we cover all the major indoor football leagues. All right, so before we get started today, how are you guys doing today? TJ?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Krish, how are you doing this morning? Which country are you in?
I'm still in India. I'm on a private island. I'm doing great.
You're on a private island? All right. Someday we're going to have a big, long discussion about who you really are, Krish, because it's like you're probably too young for this game. TJ, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But where in the world's Carmen Sandiego? It's like it's Krish. You're like, where did he go this month? But all right, so we're gonna pose a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Krish. I didn't realize you meant specifically IFL head coaching jobs. But so the question of the day, today's show, is going to be how many IFL head coaching jobs will be open following the season. So specifically the IFL. And yes, we know we're projecting, and it could be 0, it could be 10. Nobody really knows at this particular moment, but that's kind of the fun of the question. So with that being said, here's the question of the day, and to make it more specific, again, IFL head coaching openings. So drop your question or your answers to this in the chat as we go. We'll eventually round them all up and then circle back and get all your guys' answers and then give you ours as well later on in the show. Excuse me. But we're going to go ahead and start. I think the big news that we want to begin with is probably the fact that the Grand Island name reveal has been announced to be coming on January 8th. So next weekend or this upcoming week, they will be revealing the new name of the Grand Island team for the TAL. Any thoughts from either of you guys? I know there isn't really much out there currently, but any thoughts on what you think could potentially be the name, or what we might be looking at there for Nebraska?
Something involving corn.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there isn't much information out there about that right now. Unfortunately, was trying to have would have been a nice, topic of discussion, but unfortunately, there's just not a lot of information out there about it yet. Krish, any thoughts on that name? What would you name the team? Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, that's so difficult. I mean, like TJ said, something with corn, storm. I don't even know. I don't even care what the name is. I want to know who the head coach is. How are you not going to name a head coach and the season starts in May? Like, that's crazy to me. So hurry up and name a head coach.
Is Mike Tatum coaching anywhere right now?
No, Mike Tatum's a free agent. I think he would be good for that, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if he's still in Nebraska, that'd probably be my first call. If you're the TAL, that'd be a huge win, to get a guy like that on staff. So,
or maybe like a guy like Tay Brooks. I heard he'll be free during that time period, so it might be good. Get him for a week or two. So,
only you, Krish. Starting off the morning hot, apparently. Anything TAL related that you guys wanted to discuss? All right, there isn't much this week, but in other news, I found this was kind of interesting. The AIF announced a couple things this week. The first one of which being that the Dickinson Dragons will be playing for them in 2027, located in Dickinson, North Dakota. Games at West River Ice Center, or so I thought. They announced everything, and then all of a sudden, all of those posts have been pulled back, and all of a sudden, you can't find them anywhere. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I would imagine that we still get Dickinson out there eventually because their website's still up, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. So, obviously, again, just a discussion topic. There isn't really much out there. But what do you guys think is going on with this Dickinson Dragons team? Krish, do you have any information on that?
It happens all the time, right? A team will post they're playing somewhere, and the arena will give them a call real quick and say, put it down. So this means they had no lease in place, and they're just posting things and talking out the side of their ass. And we see it all the time, so it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's all too common, unfortunately. TJ, any thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I agree with Krish. It's probably they jumped the gun, didn't have everything in place. And if that is the case, it's unfortunate because I was actually checking out the West River Ice Center, and it seemed like a pretty interesting place for a team from the AIF to be, mainly because it has two separate rinks slash, we'll say arenas to it with different capacity seats. So that really would have helped them out if, say they started in the smaller venue and then they were getting like sellouts at that level, then they could have moved up basically, right down the walkway. So that would have been really good for them. Hopefully it works out because I really did like that setup and it looked like a really nice place to have the games at. So
That's fair. I didn't look into the venue too much. I was trying to glean as much information off of that post as possible. So I kind of went through and made sure I read it all. So I had a bunch of notes, but obviously, like I said, it's been taken down now. So a little bit discouraging there. If you're an AIF fan, we obviously want them to be able to continue their growth and success, but that's a little bit concerning. But that's also not the only bit of information that came out of the AIF this week. They also have hired Patrick Johnson, who was named senior consultant. Any thoughts on that move for either of you guys?
I mean, Super Bowl champion, it's good, I mean, that's probably one of Terry Foster's guys, him getting involved with that side of professional football. I think it's good. It's good for the league. It's a smaller league. It's more of a developmental league at this point. So having someone like that involved, I like that move for sure.
Absolutely. And just to read the release really quick, it says AIF today announced the appointment of Patrick Johnson as senior consultant to the league effective immediately. In this role, Johnson will work closely with AIF Commissioner Terry Foster and league ownership, providing strategic guidance on league growth initiatives, franchise development, sponsorship and partnership opportunities, media positioning, and overall league operations. Commissioner Terry Foster emphasized the importance of the appointment as AIF continues to build momentum. Patrick's background and network align perfectly with the direction of AIF, Foster said. His understanding of the business of football combined with his leadership experience will help strengthen our franchises and elevate the league's overall profile. Johnson is a Super Bowl champion, entrepreneur, and respected sports business advisor with extensive experience spanning professional football, media, and brand development. His appointment reflects AIF's continued commitment to strengthening its leadership team and accelerating sustainable league-wide growth. So, interesting news there. Obviously, they continue to build up that front office in the AIF to hopefully make them a lot more sustainable. But a little bit of an interesting title, senior consultant. So a little broad. So I'm curious what his role exactly will be. But the last piece of information that is coming out of the West Michigan Ironman is that they will continue their season despite the the theft of their equipment trailer. So obviously we were all concerned, last episode because we just didn't know how this would affect the Ironmen and their season, given that they kick off on January 30th. So, I mean, obviously, very elated to hear that they will continue playing. TJ, I mean, you've been a coach. How would you even go about trying to recover from a situation like that if you're the Ironman?
Man, I mean, I can only imagine it takes a village, whether they were able to get some extra help from sponsors or if they literally just took money out of their own pockets just to make, basically make damn sure that they could play this season. Um, that's a really tough situation. You get thrown a lot of curveballs, especially at the semi-pro developmental level. But I mean, straight up theft of your equipment is not in the cards normally. So it's just a really tough situation for them. But luckily, they do plan on continuing to play, so they must have had some spare funds, or like I said, they ran something to get help to get more equipment. Maybe some guys brought their own stuff in. Again, it takes a village when something really messed up like that happens, and luckily, it doesn't seem like it's going to stop them from playing this upcoming season. But that doesn't stop the main thought of, can the people who just took the original stuff just bring it back quietly and we'll just let it go, man? Just do the right thing and give their stuff back at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said before, there is value to that stuff, but the second you try to sell it, people are going to know exactly where it came from because it's branded. So I mean, good luck trying to sell that anywhere. Krish, any thoughts on this situation?
I mean, I'm happy they're playing. They're huge for that community up in West Michigan. I think it's important to have football there. I always thought their ownership should have really invested and tried to move up into a higher league, but they're content, and I think it's good. And I'm really happy for the sake of the fan base and the sponsors and the community that they're able to play. So it's good.
Agreed. We got a question in the chat that I find kind of funny. Why don't other leagues thoroughly vet their new teams like the IFL and AF1? I probably would have just stopped at IFL personally, but adding in the AF1, the AF1 has had their fair share of issues.
Corpus Christi.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, I know all their teams lasted last year. It was because of somebody coming in and saving one of the teams. So, no shade at the AF1, just to be clear, but the facts are the facts. Over the past 2 seasons, they've had a lot of teams have a lot of issues. And to be clear, every league has, except for really the TAL is the only league that's managed to have every team start and make it to the end of their seasons. And even their teams had a couple bumps in the road along the way, with Eau Claire having to wear jerseys that were not theirs last year. So every league has its bumps. It happens every season. It never fails. But we're going to move on to some IFL news. And a lot of this stuff, we're just going to cruise through the news until our guests get here. And then when the guests get here, we'll kind of do our interviews with them. And then we'll go ahead and keep moving. But the big news out of the IFL is that there's a change at defensive coordinator for the San Antonio Gunslingers, which we will get into a little bit more later on in the show. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this move and what may have gone into it. Rod Miller's out. Malcolm Goins is in. Obviously, Rod Miller's been around the league multiple years. Malcolm Goins was previously the defensive line coach, I believe, for Bay Area last year. And then previously with the Frisco Fighters, he actually coached Charles Williams in Frisco as a player, and now he will coach with him as the defensive coordinator as his defense, and Charles will be his defensive line coach. So what are your thoughts on this situation with San Antonio and what it means for the team going forward? Let's go to TJ first on this one.
I think it's going to be good for him. Again, he was with Bay Area. What has Bay Area done lately? They've been in the playoffs, won a championship. He was a co-defensive coordinator, I believe, in Frisco. And every year they were around, we joked about Peyton Manning, Indianapolis Colts syndrome, because they were perfect almost during the regular season. They just had trouble getting into that championship mode before they took a hiatus. So, he brings a lot of championship caliber experience, a lot of winning, and just really just a lot of good, clearly fundamentals, because he's already done it with two different teams. So you don't have to worry about it just being that one spot that just worked out perfect. He's been successful with multiple teams now on the defensive side. So I think this is a sign that the Gunslingers, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with this upcoming season.
Krish, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, bro. First off, I think there's a huge difference being a position coach and a play caller. We see it all the time. I mean, it's going to be with Xavier Jackson going down to New Mexico, right? Or, him being the defense coordinator in Vegas last year. Now he doesn't have Mike Davis putting the team together for him, or he doesn't have the resources or the name brand. And so now you look at Malcolm Goins like, yeah, he's going down to San Antonio. But the thing is like, I don't think this is an upgrade from Ron Miller at all. I saw Coach Miller when he was here. I got primetime access to him. He's a really, really good person. But what his strength is, he's a hell of a recruiter. Let me use Matt Elam as an example. Matt Elam has been with Ron Miller in Vegas, been with Ron Miller in Massachusetts, been with Ron Miller in San Diego, and now signed with San Antonio. That's his relationship with Ron Miller. He signs to all the teams based on where Ron Miller goes. So he signed with San Antonio. I don't know if he'll go now. And that's with a couple of guys who signed down there just due to that reason. So I think it's a huge loss for San Antonio. I mean, Jonathan Bain, I know you said TJ, like, he had success in other spots, but Jonathan Bain's a rookie head coach. I love Jonathan Bain. That's my guy. But he's still a rookie head coach. And I think, I hope they add one veteran coach to staff. That was the whole point of bringing Ron Miller on, to help Jonathan Bain, kind of become into that role of being a head coach in the league. So
that's a fair point. Malcolm Goins, to my knowledge, he's always been a position coach, not a coordinator yet. So, you got a rookie head coach. Now you've got some rookie coordinators. So that is a little bit of a concern. But, I think you're probably taking a calculated risk with who you're hiring, given their experience. And I think Goins is definitely ready to take that step personally. So I think they'll be okay in that front. Obviously a lot time will tell, right? But I like the roster they're building. I like a lot of the things they're doing. This was the one move where I was like, that's interesting. But I'm also a fan of Coach Goins. I think he's going to be great in this role. So I'm excited about what the future has in store for San Antonio and, their new young coaches. We always talk about it here on this show. A lot of these teams just kick around basically the same, 20, 30 head coaches they're out there. And now we get some new fresh faces in these coordinator and coaching positions here in San Antonio. So this will be a good case study. We're taking some of the best and brightest former players, making them coaches and seeing how this thing works out. So, I don't think anybody's going to sit here and argue that there's a whole lot more decorated players than Charles Williams and Jonathan Bain on that staff. So, there's a lot to be answered, but I have a feeling these guys are going to answer it pretty well this year. But let's move on to some IFL transaction news, which I know Krish is going to be excited to talk about. Couple moves that really kind of stuck out to me. The Jacksonville Sharks have continued to build their offensive line. They brought in offensive lineman Matthew Kickel, and Marcus Finley. Bigger players, 6'4", 310, 6'3", 310. And then also you have the Masslando Pirates signing Calvin Ashley, a former USFL offensive lineman. Krish, you got any comments, thoughts, feelings on that one?
I mean, you look at Marcus Finley, right? He was an all-conference lineman, so he's young. He's only 24, young kid coming in. I mean, Jacksonville, their offensive line last year was inconsistent. They're replacing. Think about it, man. They're replacing Leon Brown and Dominic Jackson. Those two started at Alabama. But they were older guys. They got in some trouble when they were there. Whatever. So they're no longer on the team. So now you have to fill that spot with young guys. And for me, the most interesting thing is James Cahoon's play style. His play style is a pocket passer. He's not going to move out of the pocket. So you need guys who can pass block at an elite level to protect him. So I'm interested to see if these new linemen can do that for him. Or if not, they're going to have a lot of trouble. For us, man, Calvin Ashley, look, I've heard, he's old. He's this. He's 28, 27. He's 27 years old, and he was an all-USFL product. And he's huge. That's the type of guy Jawad is going after, type of caliber of player. He played with Toby Johnson in the UFL. He had that relationship. I'm so happy we got another veteran lineman in there. It's so hard to find veteran linemen in this game, and we're not taking a risk with a rookie. I know what Calvin Ashley's going to bring. He lives in Orlando. I've seen videos of him getting in shape. He's ready to go. Just another piece of the puzzle for us, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, Calvin Ashley is a huge addition. He's a great player. I have a feeling that it's going to be a really good move for the team overall. Obviously, anytime, like you said, you can get a bunch of veteran linemen there, you're probably in good shape. And it seems like the Pirates are loading up on their veterans at, the offensive line specifically. So obviously they're going above and beyond to solidify that position group. And then, here in the near future, I think that's going to pay off for them pretty heavily. But we've also got a trio of signings by Fisher Freight. They brought in defensive lineman James Wright IV, defensive back Devin Williams, and then also defensive back / linebacker Jacob Montez. So solidifying that defense there in Fishers is always a good move. They could definitely use a little bit of work there before the 2026 season. Any thoughts there, TJ, on any of those moves that we threw out?
I do like Fisher upgrading their defense, because especially their defensive backfield a little bit, because there were some games last year where, man, they couldn't stop a wet paper bag. So that's definitely a good thing for them to be improving on this offseason.
Absolutely, I would agree. Well, it looks like our first guest has arrived, so we're going to go ahead and hit a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with Anthony Ellison of the Wyoming Cavalry to talk about his experience in arena.
Can I point out something real quick?
Yes. Absolutely.
Indy had yet to name a defensive coordinator. Man, I dare you to put Dixie Woo's son in that box, man. Watch what happens. Don't do it. So I hope they bring back my boy Keontae. But if they don't, I wonder who Dixie goes out and hires for that defensive coordinator spot.
I thought Keontae was coaching special teams last year.
Basically, what happened was that Dixie started the season calling offense and defense. Keontae was calling special teams. And 7 weeks through the season, Dixie gave Keontae the defensive coordinator play calling duties. So, yeah.
Okay. Offense sell tickets, but defense wins championships. Fisher's D should be strong. I like that. Like that comment for sure.
Getting Trey Smalls from Tulsa, that's a huge move. Interior D lineman, another position, really hard to find. So
yeah, I did not see that. That is a big move for sure. But we're going to hit a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Anthony Ellison of the Wyoming Cavalry.
Like three, four times maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me.
It's so easy. Get out your own way.
It's just so easy.
All right, we are back with Anthony Ellison of the Wyoming Cavalry. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. Anthony, if you're not aware, was recently the subject of a player highlight article that was written by our guy Matt Rozier, the Arena and Indoor Football History page. So he went over kind of Anthony's journey, which, man, I'm not going to lie, has been kind of a crazy one. So I'm going to kind of give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you've gotten to the Wyoming Cavalry today, and what your journey's been like so far.
Pretty up and down journey. I started off in Boise State. I went to high school in Arlington, Texas, at James Bowie High School. I kind of made a dumb decision in college, left extremely early, and tried to go to Canada. Didn't really succeed in Canada like that, so came back out here, played a year, my first arena season with the Kearney Hawks. That was I can honestly say that is my worst season of arena football. But I guess I still kind of, shown that I can play football. So, after that season, I went to work out originally for the Browns, but the Cowboys wasn't in attendance. So, the Browns didn't take me up, but the Cowboys ended up putting me on the practice squad for the 2016 season. From there, I was there all the way to 2017 and ended up getting cut. Went back to arena football from there. It's just been a pretty up and down in arena. Every team that from 17 to 2020 that I was on ended up folding season after season. So I was pretty much bouncing around. Then kind of got solid, went to Mexico for a little bit. The Chihuahua Cordillos, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. So I was there for a while. The first season was canceled because of COVID. Came back, played another season, then went to the Los Cabos Marlins in Mexico as well. Did a season out there, came back, did some more arena ball. So I've been around the industry for a while.
Definitely sounds like it. Played a little bit of everywhere, it sounds like. So what brings you to the AIF and the Wyoming Cavalry for 2026?
So this season I originally worked out with the Texans. I didn't get called in, so I'm looking around for a home to play this season, and I stumbled upon Coach Hessler, the head coach for the Wyoming Cavalry, and he was just excited to bring me in. So I didn't want to waste no time searching for another home. There's one right there. So I took up on the opportunity and signed with them. Originally signed as quarterback, but we ended up getting one. So I went back to my main position, which is receiver.
Interesting. So you have the ability to play quarterback as well?
Yes, I've played quarterback in the IFL, the NAL, the CIF. I've played quarterback at a pretty high level too. So.
Very nice. TJ, do you have any questions for Anthony?
Yeah. Where do you see yourself going after this season with Wyoming? Do you see yourself maybe trying to still get back to the outdoor game?
Um, I'm honestly, I have fell in love with the indoor game, but of course, everybody's ultimate goal is to, get back to the NFL or go to the NFL, UFL. So yeah, if I can get that call up, that would definitely be the plan. Um, I am in talks with a few AF1 teams. So hopefully after in the middle or the end of the season with Wyoming, I'll be called up. One of the biggest teams is the Beaumont Renegades. So I've been in talks with them for a while. So hopefully that goes well.
That makes sense for sure. Are you originally from Texas?
No, I'm originally from Shreveport, Louisiana. I think we moved to Texas maybe I was maybe 5. Uh, so I've been in Texas my whole life. So I was raised out here, yes.
Gotcha. Very nice. Very nice.
Mhm.
Out of curiosity, why not the Shreveport Rougarou?
It's funny you said that. I went to a workout with them on my birthday this month, well, last month on December 6th. Um, I got good feedback, and I'm not sure if the coach wasn't interested or they already kind of have a stack roster, so I just haven't received that call back yet from them.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. TJ, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, hearing, your story so far, you're just constantly, like you said, going on teams that just so happen to fold the next year after.
Mhm.
For any younger athletes watching this interview, how important is just determination and the grind to accomplish your dream? Because you've had a lot of things go against you, but man, here you are, and you're still powering through.
Right, right. I mean, the advice I have is, a lot of people look down on arena football, especially you're young coming in. They're thinking, hey, it's semi-pro. You're not gonna get far with it. You can't let that really take you down because arena football is one of the main reasons I went to the Cowboys practice squad. They watched my film, they liked it. They added me to the roster. There's gonna be teams that you know, just not solidified or it's just going through some things. It doesn't mean that your career is over with or it's not going to help you. So if that's your career and what you sweat and bleed, then you'll push through it and go to the next season and continue to play.
Can you tell us a little bit more about some of these opportunities and how they came about? I mean, like specifically with like Dallas, like how did they get in contact with you? I mean, I know you said that you were at a workout for the Browns. Was that like an open workout for the league, or how did all that all work out?
It was a private workout. I got invited because I was with the BC Cavalry. And so when I flew back, the next week, my agent, which was Jeffrey at the moment, he was like, "Hey, this workout with the Browns, I can get you in there. Just show up." So I went. I showed up. I didn't get no feedback from no one. So I got an Uber, and I'm on my way to the airport. And my agent calls and is like, "Hey, I need you to turn around immediately." So I'm like, "For what? What's going on?" He's like, "We got a coach here. It was just Coach Lee, which was the wide receiver coach for the Cowboys at the moment, and this is 2016." So he's like, "You have a coach here. The Cowboys want to speak with you, potentially give you a chance." So I didn't even tell the Uber. I'm sorry, excuse me. I didn't even tell the Uber driver, hey, turn around. I just got out and just ordered a new Uber and went back, talked to Coach Lee, and from there, he asked me where I live. I told him I'm actually, reside in Texas in the Dallas area. So they called me up for a meeting that following Saturday, and that's when I signed with them. So.
Very nice, very nice. TJ, any more questions?
No, man, but thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck in this upcoming season.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So I did have one more question. Obviously, reading through the article, Matt alluded to or spoke directly on a potential documentary coming about your career. Can you talk any more about that and kind of give us some of the details, how that came about and what you expect that to look like?
Yes. So the name of the series is A Day in My Life. So basically, there's a director that hit me up. He wanted to see the ins, the outs, the goods and bads of arena football from a player's perspective instead of a fan's perspective or coach or owner. So it's more of a reality series. They're gonna have cameras set up throughout the living situations we're at, the field, practice facilities, everything. They just want to see everything that goes into our life. How we wake up, what we do, practice, who gets cut, who makes the final roster. They wants to see everything. So that was brought upon to me, and July 14th will be the release date for that, which is after the Wyoming season. So we'll be doing that. I think that's going to be a pretty good project. It will be released on Tubi, YouTube. I think that's the pretty main platforms for that.
Gotcha. Very nice. What's the director's name?
I know his first name is Jesse. I have to get his last name. I can send you the information.
You're fine. I was just curious. Well, Anthony, we really appreciate your time this morning. It sounds like you've had an insane journey, from start to finish, and hopefully there's still much more to come. We'll definitely be following along with your AIF season. Before you get out of here, is there anything you want to say to the Wyoming Cavalry fans or anybody at home?
I'm just ready to come out and ball, man. Show all my talent, win the championship. Of course, that's everybody's goal. And yeah, I'm just ready to play, man.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Once again, go check out the article on Anthony to learn a little bit more about his journey and where he's headed next. On that note, thank you so much for your time this morning, and best of luck going forward in 2026.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Once again, that's wide receiver Anthony Ellison of the Wyoming Cavalry. Thank you again to him joining us. Also, I did just get news that our second guest likely will not be able to join us, unfortunately. Was pretty excited about him coming on. It was going to be the head coach of the San Antonio Gunslingers, Jonathan Bain. We were going to discuss in detail what was going on with his coaching staff, his thoughts on hiring Malcolm Goins, as well as, being a first-time head coach, all of these different things that we'll get to eventually. I will get him on here one way or another at some point. It's going to happen. But before we jump over to the NAL and talk more about the NAL, we're going to go and hit a commercial break once again, and we'll be right back. And since we're going to talk about the NAL, might as well hit this one.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Step up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets that three-step drop, here comes the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the, looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10! Russell has it on the outside. Like I said, he ain't taking a slide. Russell steps up, lets one go. Robinson makes the circus catch. Going to be a low snap. Here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete. And making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking. He has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall.
All right, we are back to talk about some NAL topics. So naturally, this is the Omaha Beef segment of today's show. Krish, you're rubbing your hands. I'm sure you got a million different topics to go in on. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the big elephant in the room because, of course, this is a news show. We talk about everything that happens in all these leagues. We are not biased, to be clear. So, with that in mind, the big news that has, of course, come out this week has been the posts made by Rodney Blackshear. I almost said Reggie Blackshear. I apologize, Coach Blackshear. Rodney Blackshear about his situation with the Dallas Bulls. Basically, he has said that he has not been paid as he was supposed to be paid. And there are still pending payments for other coaches as well. Basically in the posts that have been made public, it looks like Doc Hudson, the owner of the Bulls, has said on several accounts that it's an ADP fault, and that's part of the reason why he's had these issues. But we're going to go ahead and pull up the messages. But before I get those pulled up, Krish, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? I know you've got I know you've got a lot to say. Just let's kind of keep it somewhat PG.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Doc of what? Scientology? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't calling him Doc. But I'll start out with this, man. Like, it makes me so upset. And look, I know everyone has their side of the story, right? Everyone. We've seen a recurring theme with this owner. We've seen it a couple times. So for me, when I see something like this, is a red flag. Rodney Blackshear, before we can sit here and call him a liar, this dude played at Texas Tech. He played in the NFL. He's very respected. He's a very respected individual. So for me, when he's saying something, I'm going to listen. I'm going to look into it. And I looked into it. The reality is, last time I checked, they're not on the arena website. So I'm not saying they're not going to play. That's not for me to decide. I'm not the owner. That's not for me to decide. I hope they play. I pray they play. But I need to know the facts and look at the facts. I want to see a substantial response from the Dallas Bulls organization putting out something that says, not even just a small statement like, this is what we did, this is how we solved the issue. As soon as he posted that, man, you should have sent the money right away. End it right there. You know? Like, it's crazy to me. But, man, my thing is, look, I hope they play. Robert Chant is a great coach, great man. They have some good pieces on the team. Will they make the playoffs? No. But they'll still be a decently competitive team. But you have to I hope the NAL launched a serious investigation into this because it has to be something that's solved. We can't have lingering issues like this close to the season at all. No.
No, I agree, and I'm very, very confident that the NAL is looking deep into this already. Obviously, at this point, it's been made very public, so they have no choice but to be looking into this immediately. So obviously, this is a concern for any league when stuff like this pops up. It doesn't matter what the acronym is in front of them. So obviously, concern here for sure. We'll go ahead and roll through some of these posts that he's done. Now, TJ, again, you're a former coach. You've coached in the NAL. You've been through some situations yourself. Maybe not necessarily situations like this, but in your eyes, do you believe that Blackshear is handling this the correct way to ultimately find a resolution, or is this at this point his admission that he doesn't think there's ever gonna be a resolution of any sort, and he's kind of at this point just burning the bridge entirely.
Well, as a person who's been known to burn a bridge every now and again in his past, I'll, I think he doesn't feel like there's another way for it to be resolved. I feel like he's also wanting to get it out there so that way the odds of being able to wrong or dare I say trick anybody else in the process won't happen. To use ADP as an excuse. I mean, I've had that payroll system at 2 previous jobs, and I've never had an issue. So, I don't think it's the program or the whatever, it's the company that he's dealing with, and in this case, it's the rules. And so, I feel like he probably waited. He was probably played nice guy, took, the excuse, took maybe even a second or third excuse, was like, "Okay, it's gonna get figured out, it has to." That's the right thing to do, right? But then as more time passes and he's just looking around and he's like, "Man, this ain't gonna nothing's gonna happen. It's not gonna get fixed." So you know what? If I'm getting screwed over and I'm not getting paid, I'm gonna smear campaign him to hell. And that's exactly what I would have done. You know, you can't have this going on, especially in this sport, because there's already so much negativity surrounding it. And now you just brought up another blip on the radar. But I don't blame him. I blame him not getting paid. I blame the team. I blame the ownership. And they have to address it for real. They can't just say, "Oh yeah, it's the technology that let us down," or "Oh yeah, I just got to do this," or "Oh yeah, I just got to do that." Now, man, you're past that. You've been talking that for too long now. Own it and make it right, because odds are, if this doesn't go too well, the NAL might make a pretty rash decision. And in my opinion, if everything in those messages is true, it's warranted.
100%. This obviously we would be remiss if we didn't point out the fact that this is a team that has already been removed from the NAL after being announced once before due to the issues that they have had in the past. And obviously we heard this we heard the opinions that they were different, things were better off now, and we hoped they were accurate, but as of right now it doesn't appear to be the case. Now I will say none of this is substantiated yet, so this is all strictly through Blackshear at the moment. We've heard other things from other sources, but at the same time, we are treating this as Blackshear's words, not necessarily a report of the facts. We're going to allow the league to do their investigation and come up with what they're going to come up with. But at the same time, I think this doesn't look good, obviously. And as was said in the comments by Texas Pete here, Doc is a lying sack of sausage, he says, which is quite funny. If he was going to pay them, he could have Zelled them money or write a check while ADP was sorted out. And that's the part that bugs me. We've talked about this a lot in our group chat. In situations like this, which I've been in a situation where my paycheck didn't come. I had to go address the owner and get my pay. And that's exactly what the owner did. It took a couple days, but I had my pay before I should have gotten my next following check. So 1 week of pay. And he literally handed me an envelope of cash to, facilitate that last check that I missed. So I've been in this situation. I've had an honest owner step up and do the right thing. And I think that if Doc had that thought process in the back of his head and he wanted to clear this up and prevent this situation and prevent any bad publicity, he probably would have cut a check already. Because at the end of the day, how much could you possibly even owe the guy? It's January. We haven't played a game. He was hired like the end of September. It can't be, we're not talking 20, 30 grand, right? We're talking maybe 5 to 10 tops. So if you're a team owner, that really shouldn't be that big of an issue. So I do have to agree with Texas Pete's point here. But, I'm also not a legal expert. So I am not positive on what, legally he may be advised to handle or how he may be advised to handle it. I won't. Not
Well,
going to go into
I
that.
and I want to put out something this right. My comments are not directed at the NAL. Like I don't want this to seem like we're bashing the NAL because we're not. I love the NAL. There's a reason why I put out my rankings to get eyes on the league. I love the NAL. I'm a huge supporter of the league, but I'm a realist and I've seen this too many times. And so I really hope. I know this will be addressed. I know this will be addressed. Don't worry. But it's just really concerning to me, and I don't like the look of this at all. Honestly.
Agreed. Caleb, was he an owner of another team? He was the owner of this team, the North Texas Bulls, they were known as before. They rebranded to the Dallas Bulls, changed up some of their colors, and then rejoined the league for this past season. That was 2 years ago that they had issues. They've been working on their front office since. They hired a bunch of people headed into the season, which it sounds like some of those people are no longer there as well. So there's some definite concerns there. I think a lot of it has to do with, honestly, just not having contracts in place and stuff like that. So I hope it works out for the Bulls. I really do. I hope it works out for the Bulls, specifically for the good of the NAL, if I'm being honest, because this is not a good look, regardless of how you look at it. So let's really hope that the NAL can figure out a situation here where the team can play. Because as is mentioned down here by Arena and Indoor Football History, our guy, this will only hurt coaches and players. The Ruse schedule will lose a third of its games. I will say this right now. I can tell you with great certainty that the NAL has already prepared for an instance like this, given their previous seasons. I would imagine if they have to remove one team, that drops them down to 8 teams. That's fairly easy math. I would imagine they've already got something in place should anything happen to any team, just to be prepared. That's just the kind of guy that I think the commissioner is, and that they would be prepared for this situation. So I don't necessarily think that any other team would be missing games. It would just probably be a reshuffle of the schedule and move forward with 8 teams.
And I think Brandon Acard is a great leader. He's a no nonsense type of leader. So, yeah, just I'll leave it at that. So,
Caleb says, you notice how the owner kept saying something about written agreements. Have a feeling all of these may not be written contracts. The way he worded things seemed carefully crafted. Coaches need to stop working on verbal agreements and texts. This is not as easy as you may think. A lot of team front offices don't even really start up till later after the coaches are doing most of their work in the off season. So I think that can be fixed, don't get me wrong. I think there is a situation where it's not quite as cut and dry as some people may think on the contract situation. So not saying it's not impossible or it's not possible, but most teams, to my knowledge, don't operate that way. Sucks to have to play semi-pro filler teams if so. I don't think it'd be semi-pro filler teams, though, because as mentioned before, you have 9 teams now. That's a really odd schedule to try and work out. So if you go down to 8 teams, that's a lot easier math. Then on top of that, you have bye weeks you can eliminate throughout the season to try and work everything out and make it all work for everybody. So I think they've gotten to the point where they've done this enough that they've built in some fail safes, so to speak. So I'm not too concerned about the rest of the teams in the league. I think that if anything ever happened, they would be able to find a solution that works for everybody still in the league without, dramatically affecting any one team. Any more thoughts on this situation before we move on to the other news in the NAL this week?
just hope it gets resolved. But, if there's one player that gets released, if Dante Santos gets released, man, Coach Negron, you got to make that phone call. So that's all I'm going to say.
Dear Lord. Here we go.
Attaboy, Krish, attaboy.
Oh, man. So a couple moves have happened for the Pueblo Punishers. They've signed Tyrell Thompson, offensive line and defensive line. And then they also brought in linebacker. Krish, do you remember his name? I don't have it written down at the moment.
It's King. So this player name is King Metaflu. I'm not pronouncing the name right, but he started his career at Alabama, 4-star recruit, consensus 4-star. He played at Alabama. I believe he played at Arkansas. He finished his career in the NAIA because he wanted to play closer to home. At Florida Memorial, he played in 2023. I was watching his film, man. He is lengthy as hell. He's fast. He's physical. He's downhill. He's a hard hitter. Like, I think this is a really nice move for Tay and them. I like this move.
I agree. Anytime you play at those kinds of schools, there's definitely a high level of talent in you for sure. So, TJ, what are your thoughts on this move or these two moves for Pueblo?
I mean, I think they're definitely stacking. That's what they're doing. Especially with Tyrell Thompson. Formerly has spent time with the Rams, spent time in the IFL with a few teams, spent time in the XFL. I mean, he just brings a lot of experience, a dual position player. And if you looked on the announcement of it, some of the comments in the section, one of my favorite was got my boy out of retirement with some fire emojis, man. That's excitement. So he's not only bringing good play and ability, but he's also bringing fan base with him. So it's definitely a good move by the Punishers to sign him.
Agreed. We've talked a lot about their their roster construction this offseason so far. They've got a lot of wide receivers, a lot of defensive backs, and they've got a lot of other players that are skill positions, but they've been lacking some offensive line and some defensive line. So bringing in a guy like Tyrell Thompson, who can play both ways, is dramatically valuable to this team currently.
It's clear to me they don't communicate on their signings. Solo signs his guys, Tay signs his guys, and they overflow. That's what's going on. So
I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I think sometimes they're privy to information that we're not ahead of time, and that they make moves based on that as well. So I think there is some situations where maybe they oversigned at positions, but that happens sometimes. Maybe you offer 3, 4, 5 contracts at that position and you're waiting on guys to sign, and all of a sudden you just have a flood of guys sign all at once. And then, what do you do at that point? Do you go back to a guy and say, oh, actually you got back to us, 30 seconds too late because the other guy got his contract back quicker? Or, at that point, I feel like maybe they're just bringing the guys to camp or figuring it out later and waiting for guys to kind of remove themselves from the equation. Pueblo has had a lot of the teams in the NAL have signed players that have not ultimately ended up playing for them or, ended up signing with other teams in other leagues. So maybe some of this is protection, against losing some of these guys that they think might get other offers in other leagues. Just a thought. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, maybe there's some stuff that we're not aware of behind the scenes going on. The other big piece of news that we had this week is that the NAL added, then removed some teams. So first we had the Waco Tornadoes added to the website, and then all of a sudden all non-league opponents were removed. Are you guys reading anything into this, or is this just the league trying to be a little bit more organized on the website?
Trying to be organized, updating the website, house cleaning. It shows the league is moving in the right direction. That's all.
TJ, any thoughts on this one? No, yeah, exactly. They're just trying to clean it up and make it look more professional. I didn't think the sky was falling or anything like that.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly how I looked at it. It was just one of those things that a little bit of a shuffling of details. But our next guest is here. We're going to hit a quick commercial break. We'll come right back with the head coach of the San Antonio Gunslingers, Mr. Jonathan Bain.
up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets that three-step drop, here comes the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside. Like I said, he ain't taking a slide. Russell steps up, lets one go, Robinson makes the circus catch. Gonna be a low snap, here comes the pressure, and the pass is gonna be complete, and making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking, he has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play.
How many times a week?
Like, three, four times, maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Coach Bain, thank you for joining us this morning. I honestly was not expecting you to be able to make it, so I really appreciate you making this happen this morning.
No, absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me on. How y'all doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Krish, I'm going to let you kick this one off because I'm sure you got lots of questions for Coach Bain.
Yeah, Coach, good to see you, my boy.
Krish, absolutely, buddy.
Great to see you. No, one question I have for you is about the D line room. You seem to be investing a lot of resources in the defensive line. How important is that unit to your overall success this season?
It's a huge piece. When I took this job, I wanted to put a big emphasis on the fronts. Right, it all starts in the trenches. Playing this game for such a long time, I realized how much of an impact the D line does have in the indoor game, and just kind of speeds up the clock of the quarterback. And if we can disrupt, keep the offense unbalanced and kind of force them to do things that they don't want to do. I see that as a key piece in being successful. So definitely have spent a lot of time trying to really find the right pieces to put up front to, get after theirs. So really excited about our D line though. Super, super excited. It's going to be a pretty tough situation to see who to keep because, we're limited on numbers and stuff after camp. So it's going to be a very interesting competition, but super excited to see how that all pans out.
Absolutely. TJ, do you have any questions?
Yes, thanks for joining us, Coach. What's been the biggest difference for you mentally going into this season now as the head coach?
Uh, I would say just, making sure we got everything in line, a lot of the stuff with front office stuff, just taking care of, different things, looking at travel and all the other things that I really didn't have to think of that much, as a player and then as an assistant coach. But overall, I think really not looking too much into it and, just approaching the game like I've always approached it. It's kind of been my life for a really long time now. And always tried to just, take it day by day, even as a player. And last year as a coach. And so just trying to make sure we got all of our ducks in a row, preparing this off season, getting ready to start, sending out some playbooks and different things like that, hiring the coaching staff and just finally, finalize that here this week. But overall, I wouldn't say, just not making it bigger than what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just attacking each day, trying to be the best version of myself. Playing, for 10 years and the quarterback position in general, just, that kind of having to be the leader has always been there. And something I strive to do. So now just kind of with a change of title, it does come with more responsibilities, but, just making sure I'm taking care of what needs to be taken care of and attacking each day.
Absolutely. Coach, I'm not sure if you
I can't hear Sam. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I see your mouth moving. I don't know if I need to click something or if...
Shoot. Can you guys hear me? TJ?
Sorry, fellas. I'm not there. I hear somebody.
Oh, you heard TJ.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead, TJ. Let me see if I
There we
can
go.
pop out and come
Yes,
back
sir.
in. Can you hear me?
I heard something, then it went away.
Okay. Any luck?
Can't hear you now.
Okay.
Must be.
Let me jump out and come back in and see if that helps. TJ, if you
Do I
want to
need to
go ahead and
back
take the
out and come back in?
yeah, if you don't mind.
I ain't got you. Sorry, fellas. Hold on.
All right, we're gonna see if we can't get him back real quick. But basically, we've got a couple more topics to talk about with him. We're not going to keep him too long. He's got a really busy day, and honestly had told me that he didn't think he would initially be able to make it, and yet he was able to pop in and make it anyway. So, just a hell of a guy for being able to make it.
Can y'all
Can you
hear
hear?
me?
Yep. Can you hear me? Okay now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I got you.
So, I wanted to ask, and if you can't elaborate on this, perfectly okay. But obviously there was a little bit of news there at your defensive coordinator position, and recently it looked like there was a change from Rod Miller to Malcolm Goins. Can you kind of elaborate on that change at the defensive coordinator position?
I didn't catch all that. I was getting a call coming in, and it kind of kicked me. But kind of heard the brief in. Were you asking about the change of defense coordinator with Malcolm Goins?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, just as a organization, from the ownership, in front office, they decided to just go in a different direction. Nothing against Coach Rod Miller. He's a great guy, great, coach around the league, has, been at numerous places and had a lot of success. Not going to dive into too much detail with any of that, respectfully. But whenever that decision was made, Malcolm Goins, I was talking to Malcolm all the way back whenever I first got hired about potential. I love what Malcolm brings to the game. Coach Goins is, from his knowledge, his energy, his passion, just everything he brings to the game. And he was actually a former teammate of mine back in Frisco Fighter days in 2021. And just kind of how he just goes about his business. A true student of the game, very, very, very smart. Had some great stops in the past few years, with Frisco and then Bay Area. And what he does up front, the first question you asked me, Krish asked me, was the D line, right? And well, we got some dudes, and to go along with Coach Charles Williams, which was one of the better D linemen that have played in this game in the last decade. Um, I thought it was a vital piece to add Malcolm. I think he's earned the defense coordinator position. Doing what he's had to do. Being an assistant coach. Helping out with some of the top defenses in this league the last few years. Being under Coach Rob Keefe last year. Rob is a great defensive mind in this game, and I know Malcolm was just a sponge up there and soaked up all the knowledge that he could from Coach Keefe. He always speaks so highly of Coach Keefe, and so I'm really excited, and was excited to help, Malcolm get that opportunity, and I think he's going to, be a huge asset for us going into the 2026 season.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Coach Goins, and as you mentioned before, his body of work, speaks for itself, especially on that defensive line position. So excited to see what he can do with the group of guys that you guys have already brought in. We got a question in the chat here. Out of all the teams you play this year as a rookie head coach, who do you think you're excited to face the most?
Let's just say Tulsa. They're week one, right? To be honest with you, going into it being my first year as a head coach, I ain't circled no games on the calendar or none of that. We just want to take it game by game, and being that it's my first game as a head coach, and we don't ever want to look too far into the schedule and just handle what task is at hand. I would say just that one, right? Get that first one kicked off, and and then how the seasons go, man. It just rolls into that. So don't want to look too far ahead. We do got a not so friendly schedule. They did put us our first 2 bye weeks or the first 2 weeks of the season, so we don't even get 2 bye weeks. We get to start camp later than everybody else and all that other stuff. But then we go, I think, 14 straight or 13 straight. So it wasn't too wasn't too favorable for us in that aspect. But we're excited though. Every game's an opportunity, and however they come, we gotta take advantage of it and put our best foot forward and try to take care of business.
Absolutely. Here's a comment from Roger Beck, owner of the Columbus Lions. Visited the Gunslingers facility recently. Absolutely first rate. Randy was very gracious. Best of luck in this season. So, and then Project Superfan, who asked that question, also said best of luck this season. Texas Pete says congratulations on landing the head coaching position. You're working with one of the best owners in the indoor and arena football world. I wanted to ask a question. Obviously, Mr. Beck kind of alluded to it there before. The Gunslingers have probably some of the best facilities in all of indoor football. It's been talked about a lot. How big of a tool is that for you as a coach when it goes to recruiting players? Hey, we have such and such facilities here in San Antonio. We have all these dedicated things that most teams just don't have.
It's everything. And I say this respectfully and not arrogantly, but it is the best facilities in the history of this game. Just being honest. I played for 10 years. I played at some really, really nice places, and not to take anything away from them, but as far as your own facility, right, and everything we have to offer and all the new things that are adding to the facility for the players this coming season, it is second to none, and it is a huge selling point to the players whenever you're at this level. This level needs to be treated for what it is, and that's to help guys move on and advance their career, right? It's what Mr. Tryon preaches about the league in general, and it's what this league needs to be. And if we're going to truly, these guys ain't getting rich playing this game here in the indoor football league. It just is what it is. But everybody we've signed this year, they're all on the same mission. They want to get on out to the outdoor and really mean it. You know what I mean? So it's our job to provide them every single thing possible, every tool, every asset possible to help them be the best version of themselves, to even give themselves an opportunity to get to that next level, right? And so just to piggyback on, I believe one of them said, I forgot who, I think Texas Pete might have said the best ownership group. It is the best ownership group. These guys are second to none in how they, treat the players and make sure they have everything they need to be successful with the facilities, and then the new apartment deal we signed, and getting ready to announce that and show the rest of the players where they're going to be lit. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I'm very thankful for that. Right, that makes it. There's not a lot of head coaches that can say they got an ownership group that are is fully behind this thing and wanting to put the best product out there they can, and truly cares about the players. So it was a huge tool when recruiting it came to play. So it's hard when you send them just that little clip we have of our training facility and everything it has to offer. Just a guy that played this game, it's hard to say no to that, just to be honest, because it has everything you need to be successful. A group of coaches that are going to push them to be the best version of themselves each and every day and hold them to a high standard. And we just say we want to imitate the other leagues, right? In the sense of the NFL, CFL, UFL. We want it to be a smooth transition when these guys get an opportunity. The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we act, the way they're treated, the way we prepare, every single thing that goes into it. We're going to give them the ultimate pro experience, and the facilities definitely allow us to do so.
Absolutely. TJ, any more questions for Coach Bain?
Oh yeah. You look at your career, you've had a long career, you've been a champion, you've been offensive player of the year, first team, everything else. Do you feel like with how successful your career as a player went, it's making players more excited and helping bring great talent in just because they're quite frankly excited to play for you?
Appreciate that, though. Appreciate you complimenting my career. It was definitely a fun one. But just to talk about that, it has helped a little bit. I will say some of the guys I've gotten a chance to talk to is pretty unique. I was just on a roster 2 seasons ago, out there in the AFL. And some of these guys tried to get them on that roster. You know what I mean? And just the way it goes full circle. And that's why, it's just so, you just never know, in this game of football, who's going to be where, and that's why it's so good to, keep a good face, stay respectful. You know what I mean? Don't burn any bridges and all that, because you just never know how this full circle goes around. So it's really cool and unique, right? To be calling them on this side of things. Before it was like, hey, come be my teammate. I think, we got a chance to make a run at this thing. Now it's like, hey, come play for me, and but no, I think it's helped in a little bit, and anybody that knows me in the game, it was this was my NFL. The indoor arena game and in general was my NFL, and I treated it as so. Um, I loved every single bit of every single second I got to play, um, and gave it every single thing I possibly could. And that kind of, I hope that was my reputation. I appreciate and I love the championship and the awards and touchdowns and all that was cool. But more importantly, just how I approached the game and who I was as a leader and competitor is what I really cared about. I think if you kind of handle those things and the way you lead and handle the locker room and compete each and every day, I think the wins and things kind of come with that, and just being around great teammates and a great staffs. But more importantly, I wanted to be remembered for how, what football meant to me and what I bring to the table when it comes to football. So hopefully I think that's what these guys that have jumped on board for that reason, see. And what I'm, the same kind of what I'm trying to leave as a coach, is who I am, how I'm here to help anybody, man. I'm here for the guys. I'm here for the players. I was just one of them, right? Somebody told me a quote the other day and it just stuck, man, is be the coach you always wanted, right? Be the coach that you always wanted to play for. And so I've had a lot of experiences. I've had a lot of coaches and get to, pick things that I, was learned here, there, and everywhere, good, bad, and ugly, and try to put it all together. So it's super excited for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Out of curiosity, and maybe you don't necessarily have a name right off the top of your head, and I don't want you to ask this to single you have you single anybody out, but looking back at your career, who was the closest to the coach you wanted to play for out of all the coaches you did actually play for?
Who is the coach I wanted to play for the most? Is that kind of sorry, you kind of cut in and out. It was kind of bleeping a little bit, but
gotcha. Basically, the coach that closely resembles what you will be as a coach. Let's put it that way.
This was most resembles, to be honest. It's so funny. Before I even met this man, I was told this was my rookie year of indoor ball in general in the PIFL. Uh, it was a great comparison now that I got to know the guy and have the most respect in the world for him. One of the best to ever do any of this. But personality-wise, believe it or not, Coach Dalzell. And I loved everything about how he approaches this game. Tough guy. Just the way he played, very tough. Anybody that you ever ask in the history of this game, right, from the great days of the Arena League, tell you about Clint Dalzell. A winner, super tough, love this game. A true coach on the field. That's kind of what I tried to be as a player, right? And then when I got to play for him down there in Frisco, man, just who he is, right? He's his knowledge of the game, true student of the game, true teacher of the game, right? We're glorified teachers, right? We got to teach this game. The way he broke the game down and made the game so simplified, in a sense, I thought was awesome. And I would love if I could imitate him, you know what I mean, and have half the success he's had as a head coach, I think we'll be all right. But I think personality-wise, I've had a chance to hang out with Coach Dalzell, off the field. We lived in the same hometown. Just funny how that all worked out. And yeah, so I think we have a lot of personality traits that are the same. I will never say I'm Clint Dalzell. Much respect to the GOAT. But I do think we have a lot of similarities in who we are and how we approach this game. But that would be my guess.
I like that. I've got one more question for you, but TJ, do you have any more questions?
No, no, I'm good. Just thanks for coming on, Coach, and best of luck this season, man. We'll be rooting for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you much.
My last question to you is actually involving the offensive line. We did kind of I guess you could call it a little bit of a cheesy cheesy thing last week, and basically the biggest gift this free agency that I threw out there was your offensive line. As a collective unit, I think you probably have one of the biggest offensive lines in the league, which obviously it's a run-heavy league. Makes a lot of sense to me. So talk a little bit about the offensive line you guys have assembled, because it's impressive. A lot of high-caliber players that are massive.
Yeah. So once again, for kind of piggyback earlier in our conversation, I thought we're building inside out, right? From the trenches out. Uh, Good old saying Coach Fuller used to say is protect ours, get after theirs, right? And so I'll be honest, I've spent most of my time trying to find the right pieces up at those two positions. And man, we've been blessed, to be honest, to be able to land some of the guys that we had. And once again, it's going to make for a competitive camp. You know, there's going to be some hard decisions have to be made at the end of that camp, just due to numbers. But we're super excited and ready to go up front. And you know, from all of them, right? Like you said, very high caliber guys. The last 2 weeks, we landed some really big time guys. But even starting earlier in our recruiting process with, you know, DJ Stuckey's been a good player in this league for a while, for 2 years. You know, down in I believe he was in Vegas first, and then in Nass, and then we added Daisy Carroll, right? He started up there at North Texas. He's kind of a local from my hometown area there in Waco. I'm from Temple, but played at North Texas, went out to Beaumont last year, you know, won the championship, dominated out there. His film is unbelievable. He can play all positions, right? He's a center, he's a guard. And then you go down to a guy we found, Colton Greer, out of Southern Arkansas. You talk about big. This guy fits that mold, you know, 6'7", 325. Dominated at the D2 level, and last year jumped in overseas, was unanimous first teamer over there, I believe in the GFL, and got a hold of his film, man. And you talk about a dude, that's somebody you might want to, you know, look up if you don't know who he is, and just check out some of the film he's got. Just moves people around, right? And then Desmond Thomas, we actually got, he was a teammate of, he played in Green Bay a few years back, and he was a teammate of Daisy Carroll's out there in Beaumont. And just kind of how they controlled the NAL last year, right? They really dominated each and every game. And then, like I mentioned before, if you can take care of the fronts, look what happens. You know what I mean? They won them a championship down there. And I mean, you just look across this league, right? In every league, whoever usually dominates in the trenches is usually gives themselves the best opportunity to win them a championship, you know. And speaking of Vegas, right? Last year, Vegas, both offensive and defensive line. Hard to top that, right? And then it ends up getting them a championship. So something we really focused on. And then we can just to shout out the other two, we got Tank Jenkins, started out at Texas A&M, was part of Jimbo Fisher's first recruiting class out there, highly recruited player out of Alabama, and ended up going to Houston, I believe starting 40 games for Houston at guard, right and left guard. Got a lot of experience, played some big time ball, was, you know, was part of a top 5 offense in the country down there in Houston. So kind of helped pave the way for them. And then we landed starting left tackle from TCU in 2024. Bless Harris started all 13 games. Over his career, only gave up 2 sacks, or one or 2 sacks in his whole career. Started out at Lamar down there outside of Houston here in Texas, and then transferred to Florida State. Started there for them, and then ended up at TCU to finish up his senior year. And so we're super excited about it, man. We're ready to see these guys get after it, and yeah, you know, see who shows up and is ready to go. But
Absolutely.
it's going to be a fun one to watch in camp. We're going to be excited about that.
No doubt, no doubt. It's going to be fun to watch for sure. Like I said, you know, IFL's a run heavy league. You guys definitely invested heavily in the front there. So I have a feeling it's going to translate to a lot of success this year. So thank you so much for your time today, Coach. Really appreciate you making this work, and we'll let you get out of here now. So I'm sure you got a lot left to do. Is there anything you want to say to the San Antonio fans or anybody back home or anything like that?
Yeah, just we're super excited for the season. I've mentioned that a couple times, but we need your support, right? This whole thing goes as y'all go. I tell them it is, you know, it is the fans make this game what it is. So be excited. we're going to bring and put a great product on the field for you and represent the city of San Antonio and the state of Texas in the best way possible. We got a lot of locals on the team, so you're liable to see names and faces that you've been rooting for years, and that was a big key point this year, was to bring Texas talent. Right, I'm a Texas boy myself. I will go out there and say it. There ain't better football in the world than in Texas. So we kind of built around that as our core, and got a lot of locals here from San Antonio as well. So come out and support us. I think you'll love it. More importantly, the football, we're going to put a good product on, but the show here in San Antonio, if anybody's been to a San Antonio Gunslinger game, the show is second to none. What our front office does as far as the production and all the different things they have going on during the game. So give us a shot, and we're really looking forward to your support and looking forward to bringing a championship back here to San Antonio.
Absolutely. Thank you once again, Coach, for all your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Best of luck in 2026, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Appreciate y'all, fellas. Thanks for what y'all do. Y'all also keep this thing going, right? Spreading good stuff about this league and constantly putting good content out there. And that's huge. And I appreciate it. Always have respected you for it. And look forward to seeing y'all grow as well. And appreciate you letting me be a part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. The pleasure was all ours. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Guns up.
Well, Coach.
Absolutely. Once again, that was head coach Jonathan Bain of the San Antonio Gunslingers. Super excited to get to talk to him. Jonathan and I have been connected for years, and I've never got him on the show until finally now. It's been something that's been a many years in the works, and finally we got here and got him on, and it just so happens to come right before his first season as a head coach. So sometimes these interviews don't happen, and then they happen at the right time. So this was one of those times where it kind of fell into place for us. But before we get into the next segment, we're going to go ahead and take one last quick commercial break, and then we'll be back for the stretch run of the show. We'll talk about some AF1 news, and then we'll circle back to our question of the day and get your guys' answers in the chat. So for anybody who is not aware, the question of the day is, how many IFL head coaching openings do you anticipate there being heading into the 2027 season?
How many times a week?
Like three or four times, maybe.
I'm gonna pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All right, we are back with a couple more guests now. So we got Coach B on here. Coach B, how's it going this morning?
And sorry I'm late, fellas. Had an early morning with the kiddos.
It's all good. It's all good. We understand. It happens for
Been
sure.
there.
Actually, I'm kind of shocked my kid's not up yet. But it's coming. I'm sure he'll be running down here any minute. It looks like you and I match a little bit today. There's a lot of Lions love on the show today.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Beck and them, those guys down there in Columbus.
Absolutely. They seem to be doing a good job so far this year. Good morning, first stream of 2026. First around the indoor football world of 2026. But luckily here at Shady Sports Network, we almost never sleep between all of us. So there has been content every day this week so far. So if you were not aware of that, we don't only cover indoor football. We cover NFL, LFA, CFL, UFL, all of the FLs that exist in the world, basically. So if you like football as much as we do, make sure you're subscribed to Shady Sports Network. Catch all of our content throughout the week because trust me, in my personal humble opinion, we don't have a bad show on the network. So take that for what it is. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but let's get to some AF1 news. There was most recently a transaction between the Minnesota Monsters and the Nashville Cats that I feel was a fairly significant one. There was a trade that sent center Demetric Anderton from Minnesota to Nashville. Let's go to Coach B first on this one since he just got here. What are your thoughts on that move by Nashville to acquire Anderton?
I think that was a good move by Nashville. Hopefully, I think Minnesota got a replacement for him, and that's why they made the trade. But it do say future consideration, so they can either get monetary value out the deal, or they can get a player at the end when they really need one back from them. So I think it was a good deal on both ends, especially for Nashville. But I think honestly, who won out this deal was Minnesota because you get a chance to get double really at the end of the day. Either you get monetary, it's worth more. If you get to get a player later down the line who you really need and want and it benefits you, then you won out the whole deal. So I think it was a great trade overall.
Fair enough. Anybody else have any thoughts, Krish?
Yeah, I mean, Demetric Anderson, he played in the LFA a little bit. He's a big money guy, man. He was with Carolina Cobras in 2024. He played decent. He's closer to home, I believe he lives in Tennessee. But the biggest thing, I mean, when you talk about a guy who can play all positions on the offensive line, I think it's a system fit. And I think this was a good move for Minnesota, for sure.
I need to step away for a moment. Krish, can you lead the show for a little bit? The next topic, or TJ, what were your thoughts on the trade? First of all,
I mean, I agree with them. I think it was a great trade for both teams. You get future consideration, like Coach B said, especially if you need a player down the line. But then if you're Nashville, you get this guy who could have helped you last season because they had a little bit of offensive line problems. Now you get this beast at O-line who can play any position. I mean, I think this is a mutual, washing of hands for both teams. They're both making out in this deal. I think it was a really good trade all around.
absolutely. So the next big topic in the AF1 is Oceanside in a matter of 2 days signed 10 total players. So here are the first 5 names. I will be right.
I mean, I'll start with saying, like, both of the quarterbacks they signed, one is 28 and one is 32. One was a D3 backup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just local guys. Oceanside is building their team with local players. I don't think they'll even play this season, but if they do, they'll be really bad. So that's all I think. What do you think about it, TJ?
No, man, why you gotta say it like that? Like they're not going to play? Come on. Uh, hey, man, they like local talent. Hey, listen, here in the Lehigh Valley, man, the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks used to do local talent all the time, and they were in conference championships year after year, and they even made it to a championship one year. So it's not about the location of the players, it's about the talent that you can find. And if you can get both homegrown, why not do it? It makes it better for the franchise and everything else. You know, I really like how they're signing up a lot of wide receivers and DBs, and a couple of those guys you even see wide receiver slash DB next to their name. Those are multi-positional players. I think they're low key stacking a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to go and win a championship, but I'm saying they're putting themselves in a very good position personnel wise, in my opinion.
I think, me and Coach B, we have this argument all the time. I mean, Tyler Meeks apparently can play 5 positions, right? You can play different positions, but there's a difference between playing it and playing it good. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, what do you think about it, Coach B?
Just to piggyback off what you said, TJ. Now let's get a correction. Lehigh Valley did have a lot of local talent, but most of their stars were from out of state. And when they were in the IFL, that local talent did not help them at all. They were never in the top tier of the league in the IFL. In the smaller leagues, they won with local talent. In my opinion, this is not LA. If it was LA, you can get away with getting a lot of local talent because you get good talent. This San Diego. San Diego is not big on football talent. Baseball, other sports, yeah, but football not really big. LA, you got a bigger pool to pull from if you was in LA and doing a team like this and trying to stay local. That's the only thing that scares me about Oceanside. Being local, you're not going to have a lot of talent to pull from in San Diego. It's gonna be good, but it's not gonna be good enough talent for the AFL. I don't care how much local talent you pull, they still gotta adapt to the AFL game. Everybody can't play AFL. Anybody can play IFL because it correlates to outdoors, but you still gotta be a dog to be in there. But everybody can't play AFL. So you doing this, then you got to train up coaches. They only got one coach on staff to know the AFL game. Now he has to train coaches and he has to train players. You making it double the work for him and making it more hard for your team. I don't see them winning more than 3 games this year, but if they do, I'll applaud them.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the quarterback room, man. I mean, Rudy Johnson is their best option, and he'll get killed if he played the A1 style. I think I'm not doubting them, but they're not a good team on paper, and I think they'll have a really tough time. Especially because the whole rumor of them trying to buy San Diego's turf and everything. I don't think Oceanside will play. I really don't believe they'll pay. I'm saying this right now on January. What day is it? January 3rd, 2026. The Oceanside Bombers will not play this season. That's my prediction, and I stand by that.
I think they will play, but I think it's gonna be a rough ride. I think a couple teams are gonna make it through. Honestly, I think every league is gonna make it through. Every team will make it through every league this year. It just might be harder for some teams. I do feel like every team in the AAL is gonna make it through. AAL 2 gonna make it through. The AIF, the IFL, the NAL, and the AF1. I feel like all those teams will make it through, and if so, if they have any problems, I think the league to step in and help out. But I'm not too worried about teams not making it through. I'm worried about the performance of these teams because of the lack of talent and the lack of revenue. Other than that, I think everybody will be good. We just gotta build up the revenue. We gotta get a lot of more owners in who can help help evolve the game.
I agree 100%, Coach B. You kind of hit it right on the nail. I mean, look, I hope every team plays and every team finishes. But the reality is that in this industry, you can see red flags. And so I've seen a lot of red flags with Oceanside so far. But, let's hope they play. But if they do, I don't think they'll be good. Like Coach B said, Kareem Morris, he hasn't coached in however long. You know what I mean? So it all depends
But
on
he a
that.
local guy, so it fits what they're trying to do. And I understand what they're trying to do, save money, go local, but this the AF1, aka the old school AFL. It's either go big or go home. If you're gonna do it right. When you come in that lead, I feel like you should come in guns a blazing and trying to win from the jump. That's any owner. The AF1 has a standard. So they have to live up to it. I think you should come in and be ready to provide and have everything intact. In any league, if you accept a team, I feel like if a team having problems, I think the league should step in and help out that team to make it through, and then help that team find revenue ways to stay afloat after the season. So that's just my opinion on it. But I do think we're in a good state in arena football right now with all teams and all transactions.
Coach, you got any thoughts on your Dallas Bulls?
The Dallas Bulls, I think they're gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be a rough season for them. They'll make it through, but I don't think they're gonna be a top team in the NAL. Hopefully Coach Kent, I believe in Coach Kent. I think he's gonna do some great things down there. It's just the supporting things that I hope he gets and he have to make that a successful run with the Dallas Bulls. One thing I can say, NAL, please make sure that market stays afloat because that's the biggest market in arena football. And I think it's brewing for something big. And if we can get it to work, it's unlimited resources and skies to that limit right there.
How many games do you see him winning this season in the NAL?
Depend on the players and the final roster that they have. But I see them if they can get it together, get all the stuff in the back end that the front office supposed to handle together, and the team can just focus on football. I see about four wins.
That's
4 wins? That's crazy. When you were with them, you were talking like they were winning like 10. That's
I didn't
insane.
say 10. I said we might make the playoffs. I didn't say 10 though. You make enough to make the playoffs, but you got to think about some of the factors involved too
Nah, I
that I've
feel
been
you.
around and seen.
It's dark, man. What do you expect? They're not going to win more than 3, maybe.
A lot of comments coming in today. Appreciate all the engagement this morning. Sorry I had to step away, but I am back at this point. There are a lot of comments here, so I think all
See,
teams should be
Caleb
required.
knows what I'm talking about.
I think all teams should be required to have a certain percentage of local players, and a team really represents a city area and not their pocketbook. I really like this point. Although I think creating a percentage that you would have to have would be tough, just because certain markets just don't have the same amount of players that others do. California, Texas, they're packed with players. You could pretty much trip over professional level football players. But you go to the middle of Nebraska, you might not be as lucky, right? You might find a ton of farmers that can maybe throw around some guys, but they're not going to be legit professional football players. So definitely different. This part right here, has anyone called the arena to confirm? You can call any arena, and they are probably not going to give you any information about that the tenants, unless you're looking at specific dates. So if you want to call up the date or call them up and ask about each individual home date and see if they'll give you the information on if it's booked or not, feel free. But I can tell you from experience that if you call the arena and ask them about a specific tenant, they will not give you any information unless you're calling to inquire about purchasing tickets. I
That's
did
how
this.
I always do, Shady. I always call and act like I want to purchase tickets just to see if the team is there. And 9 times out of 10, if the arena team has a lease, you will actually be on the events calendar of the arena. So you can check it that way as well.
You can't say that though, because you can go look at Denver's event arena right now or event calendar, and the Spartans are not on there, or at least they weren't on there last time I checked. And granted, we still have 2 months, and that's part of the reason why. But there's a lot of arenas that don't necessarily list the teams, so I take a lot less stock in some of that than some people do. Krish mentions it all the time. This team's not listed on their arena website, yada, yada, yada. And then we proceed to have 6, 8, 10 examples of other teams that have been around for years that are not listed on their website either. But, I mean, is it concerning given everything else that's coming out? Absolutely. But you just never know.
I found a few times if you call and ask if tickets are available for the arena team or whatever, they'll say certain phrases like "No, not yet. Try back like in a month." Or they'll say, "No, not yet, but it should be blah blah blah." That means something's already in the works and it's known then, at least. I mean, I'm not saying it's a foolproof, but I have had that happen to me in the past when I've been a little investigated.
Alrighty. Well, I guess I'll start digging into it a little bit, fellas. I'll bring you some information next week. Okay. All right. Looking good, Coach B. Roger Beck says we've got a couple guests that want to hop on, and something tells
Thanks,
me
Mr. Beck.
I'm halfway interested in potentially telling one of these guests that he can't come on, but he might get me in trouble. What's up, Coach Davis? How's it going?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Why is it that you popped up to this morning right after we started talking about Oceanside?
Oh,
Good
I
luck at
didn't
your
even know.
tryout.
I just jumped on. We're out here with about 75 guys in Detroit. Got the
Oh,
Omaha
very
Beef
nice.
here. We got 6 different IFL teams, 3 different CFL teams. You know, just in this beautiful facility in Detroit.
There you
So we
go.
just everybody wanted to jump on and say hello.
Very nice.
Yes, sir.
I thought
I
you were
missed
just
the
in a
Oceanside
random
part.
warehouse.
You know,
I missed the
it's
Oceanside part.
I did. I have to rewatch it.
That's I didn't see the background, but now it makes a lot more sense. I forgot your tryout was today. So
Yeah,
pretty good turnout if there's 75 guys out there.
yeah. I mean, it's a lot of them passed the eye test, so that's a plus. We'll see.
That's good.
We just started the 40s and all that, so we're just getting into it. But yeah, just want to say thanks for all y'all guys do. And Coach Negron wanted to say hello.
I said hello too. Fellas, what's up?
What's good?
What up,
Good.
Coach?
Good, Coach? What's good, man?
Love it.
So
I need a linebacker and a quarterback now. Let's go.
we got a couple Bruceys out here. So
Man, I
anyway,
can't wait for May 18th. I can't wait, man. It's about to be real cold out there. Best believe.
it sounds good, Chris.
It didn't take him long, did it, Coach Davis? It didn't take him
Listen,
long.
man, it's 2026. I don't worry about the peanut gallery. We got work to do. So
There you
I
go.
can't be an international traveler and be in India and Dubai and this and that. Like, you know, some of us got to work hard for a living. I'm just giving you a hard time. Anyway, I told y'all I'd jump on and say hello, man. Happy New Year to all y'all, and appreciate everything.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year,
Happy
Coach.
New Year.
Good luck on the talent out there.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for all the gear as well.
Not a problem.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Best
man.
of luck.
Vegas.
Awesome. Did not see that coming. So there you go. You even got some live footage from the Vegas tryout in Detroit this morning, which obviously, as he mentioned, there are coaches from multiple different leagues and teams there, whether it's IFL, NAL, CFL, UFL. Honestly, knowing Coach Davis, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple NFL teams out there, honestly.
I'm kind of mad I didn't go. He invited me. I should have went. Now they got a great turnout, 75 people. That's an amazing turnout, man.
Coach
Good
McGraw
luck.
out there looking for a linebacker, man. He's on the hunt. I wish Coach Thomas needed to go so bad, man. Where's Coach Thomas been? I haven't seen him recruiting anyone as of late, man. He must be busy. So
I think
Yeah.
Green Bay might catch a sleeper out there. Y'all got to. Green Bay is quietly
Pew,
been
pew,
building
pew, pew.
a nice roster out there.
That's Chris's entire mindset. Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, I hope CJ's watching, man. Hey, rumor has it Jawad might be at the National Scouting Combine. And if that's true, man, yeah, Beef ain't getting no one. So that's what
You like provoking CJ and the grown, don't you?
I mean, that's great that he's going to a local tryout. I'm glad for him. It makes sense, but we all know that unless they have NFL, UFL, or CFL on their resume, he's not signing them anyway. So, we'll see how things go, I guess.
What you mean
Absolutely,
to tell me?
man.
You mean to tell me they the Pirates don't sign walk-ons or rookies?
Never.
Oh wow, y'all that biased, Chris?
So AF1 is not sponsoring the NSC. They are partnered with the NSC. Yes, that's a 2-year thing now. That happened last year to begin with. But however, CJ, for instance, worked the event, and he was an NAL player last year, and now he's a coach. So, for instance, I mean, these may be publicly partnered with, the AF1, but at the same time, it's not like they're exclusively only allowing AF1 coaches, just to be clear. And also, here's the dirty little secret in this industry that a lot of people don't really talk about. You might be in the NAL and you might have some friends that coach on AF1 teams, and same thing with IFL or TAL or this is a small industry. Everybody knows everybody to an extent. So, it's not like there's bad blood between everybody in every league. That's not the reality of the situation. So, a lot of these workouts and tryouts,
Half
that's
of us
how these
play with each
coaches
other,
keep in
Shady.
touch.
But that's why it's good not to burn bridges, man. Like, think about
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of young coaches out there who have burned bridges, and they don't have that opportunity to go to these tryouts. Coach Davis has an access to a higher level caliber athlete than most of these coaches do. Just being honest. So
That's true.
You're not wrong. And it helps that, when he's setting up a tryout, he has teams from higher levels there. So, it makes a lot more motivation for guys to come out and try out for you. But I'm pretty much out of topics today. Any other subjects you guys wanted to cover before we get out of here for the morning?
Oh, the question of the day. Did we ask that?
My fault.
Yeah.
So we actually did have it wrapped in to where it was going to be a question of each league. So we're just going to go rapid fire real quick. And anybody who wants to throw it out, let's go to Coach B first. How many IFL coaching openings do you see after the 2026 season?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. How about NAL, or just kind of run down the leagues and give us how many you think are going to be open?
NAL, I look at about three to four openings coming up after this season. TAL, I say 2 to 3. AAL, probably 3 to 4. And AF1, I see about 3 to 5 head coaching jobs next year. So that in my opinion. AIF, they come with new teams, so I can't say any coach will be dismissed. They probably have new teams, new coaches coming up next year. So that's my take on that.
Is that what you assume will be the case with the AAL? Is that why you're saying 3 to 4?
Yeah, and then I see some teams joining the AAL next year. I see some teams moving up from AAL2 and probably switching out head coaches and building to try to be more professional. So that's why I say that 3 to 5, something like that. I do see the AAL by 2028 being one of the top 4 premier leagues with the AF1, IFL, and NAL. I just like the direction they going, what they building, and how they doing it. IFL is always the standard. I see AF1, if they do certain things, they'll be back to the old AFL ways and be darn near superior again. NAL, if they just keep moving and grinding, and they build it up. Ricky and those guys and Brandon Eicher does a good job of building that up. If they just get some more quality teams in there, I think they're going to stay in the top tier. So I think it's just all about having foundation, vetting the right owners, getting them in there, and then you'll have some quality coaches.
Fair point. Real quick, Texas Pete, I'm confused by this. We did address that in the episode. The new turf for the LaRugero is apparently the old Beaumont turf, or that's what it looks like anyway. That's the speculation out there. So we did address that on the last episode. I don't know. We didn't spend a ton of time on it, and that's because there isn't really much to spend on there. So that's kind of the hunch is everybody believes that they took over the Beaumont old turf, and that Beaumont's getting new turf. But
The old Beaumont turf wasn't ideal, was it? I've heard bad
No.
things about it. So that's not a good thing that they took that over. I think they had a better chance of keeping the turf they had before than taking over the Beaumont turf.
I don't know what happened to the turf they had before either, so I'm not quite sure. Caleb poses this question, and we will get back to that in just a second, Caleb. I just wanted to make sure that you know that we are not ignoring you. We see your comments. Krish, how many IFL or how many openings do you see in each league?
All right, so IFL, I see about 4 openings for sure. 2 on the west, 2 on the east. I'll release those teams slowly. NAL, I kind of already know which teams. I have a feeling. I think Amarillo, Louisiana, um, Pueblo. Pueblo will move on from one of the two. They won't keep both. So I can count that. Pueblo will be kind of open per se. And then I would say Sioux City will be open because I think Coach Irv after this year is gonna hang it up. If they even if they win a championship, I don't think he'll be in past this year. So I think he'll retire. So that will be open. So I'm gonna say confidently in the NAL 4 for sure. And then Salina. Coach O is always a hot commodity in the free agent coaching world. AF1, uh, Washington for sure will be open. I think AF1 will only have two coaches leave. So
Interesting. TJ, what are your thoughts?
For the IFL, I'm thinking probably somewhere around like 4, maybe 5, kind of like Coach B said. And then for the NAL and AF1, I'm thinking probably 2 to 3. AAL, I'm thinking none or 1, maybe, and that's not including, new teams coming in. And obviously AAL2, they're kind of following the format of the old school AF2. They just want to keep bringing in teams and building the brand, so I'm not even going to touch them. Uh, and yeah, AIF, same thing. They have teams coming in all the time, so they're kind of hard to rate.
Fair point. Fair
And
point.
I'm
I
sorry, and the TAL, probably maybe like 1 or 2. That's all though.
That's fair.
yeah, I think for TAL, man, like me and Coach B, we talk about it all the time, man. We love Coach Cam and Ozarks, man, but he had to hit the road real quick.
I,
So
I'm just being realistic. This year in the TAL, I think on the hot seat is Coach Cam and my coach, Coach Dorsey. They have to win now. So they on the hot seat, but I think you have to put in consideration those guys that go into those new franchises. If they don't do well and they get new ownership, how well the ownership gonna fare with them and keep them around too.
Fair point. Fair point. And I think honestly, I think if I'm looking at the grand scheme of things heading into next season, I think we'll have an absolute maximum of 8 openings that previously had head coaches. If we're talking about expansion teams, man, there could be as many as probably another 8 to 10 teams that come out in 2027 that could be looking for head coaches. So, and that's just what I've heard of and potentially know about already. That could be coming. So, I mean,
I don't mean to derail the conversation or anything, but I had to ask this: how many teams do you think the AAL will add this offseason, like for 2027? You think?
I think they'll be at an 8 to 10 lead next year. And then honestly, I think they're gonna be the first league to go regionalized, and they probably can be the first league with the AAL too to get a Western region.
maybe could be. I'm gonna exclude myself from making a prediction. TJ, what are your thoughts?
For the AF1, or I'm sorry, the AL,
AAL, yeah.
I'm gonna say 2, maybe 3, and that's only because from what they've been doing, they're slow growing. They're being very smart and cautious about it. So they're not. I don't see them kind of blowing up and like doubling or tripling the league overnight. I see them taking it slow and being financially and economically cautious.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good thought process. They're definitely going to be cautious in whoever they bring in, and definitely do a lot of vetting on these owners. And something tells me that they're going to make sure that they're still regional playing partners for the near future, at least. But I'm excited about the future of the AAL. I'll leave you with that. I think my big thing with the AAL is that it's refreshing to have a league that is attempting to be a professional league and not um, trying to go nuts in year one. You know, they're trying to live within their means. They're trying to make this sustainable. They're not promising things they can't possibly make happen. You know, they're keeping it regional. They're trying to make the travel as easy as possible on some of these teams. You know, they've also, you know, already made some plans that are only going to further make this stuff easier going forward in terms of, you know, teams that they add in the future and stuff like that. So I think the way they're building the league is intelligent. I think there's a very smart business model to make it as reasonable as possible for ownership groups. And I think, you know, I've said it a lot here on this show. The cheaper and easier you make it on ownership groups, the more likely you are to have teams not only stick around but last a long time, because you know they're again living within their means. If a problem happens, they probably have the budget to fix it when it comes up, rather than having to, you know, scramble because they don't have the funds to go any further than what they're already doing. So I'm excited about the future. I do think there are some areas that are going to need some improvement after year one. That can be said about any league, right? Especially a first year
The
league.
growing pains. That's the growing pains.
Exactly. So I will tell you right now that I have very, very little doubt in my mind that all four teams that are in the AAL right now finish the season and finish it in solid manner. You know,
Oh,
I don't
I
think
think
it'd be
they
division.
gonna make it through. I think they
No.
gonna make it through. I think actually all the AAA2 teams are gonna make it through as well. Like I said, by 2028, if they do it right and they add some corporate league-wide sponsorships and do some vetting on some quality teams, they could potentially be the old AFL with the AFL2 style and do it the right way.
And can
If
I
they
add something too? Can I add something too? A lot of people say Roger Beck is a great owner. No, Roger Beck is an elite owner. You know what I mean? Because he could have easily went and signed semi-pro guys, but he didn't. He chose to keep all the main pieces. They signed Jamon Fortson back. He's a staple of that franchise from Florida State. I grew up watching him. Great receiver. I cannot wait because I feel like Damian Daniels and Roger Beck are going to deliver Columbus a championship, and they're going to win every game by 40 points. So, yeah.
If you say so. I don't know about 40
Ready.
points. They're gonna be a really talented team for sure. Caleb said if it's regional, maybe AAL adding existing teams. You know, I think my thing is you have to look across the AAL too and kind of wonder if there are any teams that could make the leap next season. You know, that's always going to be a factor for this
I
league.
see I see
Uh,
three of them in the AAL2 that can possibly move up to the AAL next year. And you got to realize there's other expansion programs that AAL probably looking at.
100%. Yeah, on all three factors. So I mean, I think, you know, in this, there's a potential that the growth could be more rapid in the AAL than in other leagues because they essentially are building up franchises, you know, at the same time they're building the AAL. So you know, maybe it's more rapid than we might think. Who knows? We'll see. But this part, Corey Parsons says, "What's the thoughts on AAL drafting teams?" So I want to be real clear: the AAL is not drafting full teams. It's a at maps absolute maximum
20
five
players.
round draft. So basically, 5 players per team at an absolute maximum, 20 players for 4 teams total. So it sounds like a lot, you know, when you talk about drafting a team mid-season, but this is not drafting a full team. This is drafting a portion of your team. And if we're being real honest, what I expect to happen with this situation is that, you know, the vast majority of these guys make the jump up and, you know, maybe they're, you know, they're probably not going to make the jump and immediately be starters, right? They're going to be role players. They're going to have They're gonna be some of the practice squad guys and stuff like that. They'll get opportunities, absolutely, but they may not necessarily go from star in the AAL2 to star in the AAL overnight. So expect somewhat of a process for them to kind of work their way into the lineup in their new team as well. So I'm excited about the draft, but I think people are maybe overblowing some of it a little bit, in the sense that it's going to be highly unlikely a player is going to go, like I said, from the AAL2 stardom to AAL stardom overnight. There's going to be at least a couple weeks.
Very likely. It might be a hidden gem in there, but like you said, this is year one. They just trying out the draft process. It might be tweaks and kinks added to it next year. Might be a different time frame next year. You still got to see what you got and what works and what don't work, and if it was a good thing anyway. So I think it's a good idea. The draft is perfect. Doing it right now so you can see what you need to work on, what works, what didn't work, and everything. And I like it. It helps you keep your AAL2 teams on their toes, so they got a steady state recruiting too, just in case you might lose somebody.
Absolutely, and that's the thing that I've seen kind of pop up a couple times, is how is this going to affect the AAL2? The AAL2 is a developmental league. They're all prepared for this. If you talk to any one of the coaches on any one of those teams, they will tell you everything the same. We are here to develop players and send them to the next level. So they're prepared for it. That's how they build their teams. So Corey says, so still having locals. Yes.
Yes.
I highly anticipate every single team having local players on all of their rosters. That's AAL and AAL2. It's going to be very, very locally built. And that's good for the teams, good for the players, right? And are we going to be able to watch our team YouTube game, or our games on YouTube? Yes, most likely. We are. They are working to kind of streamline some of that process, but it sounds like they are trying to require. They're trying to require each team have some sort of film this year, so it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Is the talent level that much different from the two leagues? Yes, there is a gap for sure. Columbus and Wheeling both have several players that played with them in the NAL, and then the AAL2. Most of those guys are unpaid players who are locally based. Some of them, honestly may never move up. Some of those guys may already have played at the professional level. They're kind of closing out their career. They're just playing. They're trying to play at home. Some of them won't even try to enter the draft and stuff like that. I think there's a significant gap. So yeah. Any other thoughts on it?
It's okay though. It's all okay though, because it's keeping guys living their dream. Even if they know they're not at the pro level, they're at the A2, and they know they probably can't get paid, but they still get to live their dream out. They still get reps, play football, and compete for a championship. That's what, at the bare bones of it, it's all about, man. Opportunity.
And geographically, I think it makes sense for the AAL2 teams, even AAL teams, to keep local players. Now, if you in the NAL, IFL, or AF1, that doesn't make sense to have a whole local team, because what did you get in the big leagues for, to just stay local? You got in the big leagues to be a national program. So for AAL, AAL2, they're building guys' resumes and developing them so they can go play on a national level. So it makes more sense.
Yeah, I think exactly. This is the part that really sticks out to me. Trying to build a sustainable product. Why do you want local players? Local players probably already have housing, so you don't necessarily have to house them. Local players might already have jobs, which means they're more likely to stick around on the team long term to help you build that base, up. If they're not leaving for a higher opportunity and stuff like that. So there's a lot of perks to building with local players, especially at this level. And I think that the AAL is very aware of where they're at, but they also are very aware of where they're going, right? So I think that, if you're an AAL or AAL2 team fan, you should definitely stick around, because the things are only going to continue to get better, bigger and better. It depends on how the AAL market their teams. Well, on that front, you can go to the Columbus page and you're going to see all kinds of stuff going on all the time. Wheeling as well is pretty active on social media. They've got some events in the works as well. As you know, we talk to both of those teams quite frequently, given the partnerships we have with them. So I think if you're a Wheeling fan, you got some awesome stuff in store. If you're a Columbus fan, you got some awesome stuff in store. I would say the same thing for Jersey and Mississippi as well. But I think that's basically all we've got for today. Is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss or anything else we need to cover before we get out of here?
That's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to all the leads, all the tryouts coming up, players. If y'all not on the roster and y'all want to be on the roster, invest in your craft. If you're not going to invest 50, $60 in yourself, then why should we invest 100, 200, 300, $400 in you? Make it make sense. Go to tryouts, get known, get noticed. Make sure your social media clear. And for all the teams and coaches out there, good luck this season. Have fun and do what you do best. And that's just play ball and coach ball, develop.
Fair
January
point.
10th, Ohio Legends got to try out. So if y'all in AAL2 team looking for players, come on out. I know it's another tryout, a IFL tryout coming up. Jump in those.
Absolutely. TJ, any extra thoughts?
Hey, man, I just hope everybody has a great week, safe, happy, and we'll see you guys next weekend.
Absolutely. If I remember correctly, we are 7 days away from the first indoor football game of the season. If I believe there's an AIF game on the 10th, if I remember correctly. So that's nuts to think about the fact that we are already that close to indoor football season. Caleb, just to throw this out here, man, once again, I think the AAL has more of a regional focus on their individual markets. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of marketing from the league on the team's respect this year. Maybe as things change, down the line, things will grow a little bit more. But the league is very focused on its 4 teams it's got now, making sure they're sustainable, they're growing, and then they'll probably work on a more national market, more nationally marketing as things go forward. But keep in mind, they are marketing. We run shows for the AAL2 and the AAL. So if you want to hear more about what's going on in those leagues, tune in every time we have an episode of AAL Fifth Quarter and AAL2 Turf Talk. And trust me, that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the content coverage side of things that we will have for AAL and AAL2 this season, including written articles on the website. As well as so much more, including possibly even a live draft coverage. So stay tuned for all of that if you're an AAL fan. But
Hey, Shady, what
yeah.
I would like to see more in this year and in the future, for each team in the league marketing other teams in the league. Build the lead up. If you guys share, it's okay to share other teams' posts and stuff like that. That's how you build
Yes.
up the awareness of the league. I would like to see our leads marketing each other, the teams in each league marketing each other better for the next few years.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think that crowdsourcing an audience like that and sharing your opponents and stuff like that, it makes sense. And in fact, that was something that Gina with Duke City used to do a lot. You used to see Duke City or her specific page sharing all the stuff for all the different teams in the league, because at the end of the day, she looked at it like we are one league. We need to be working together to promote all of us together. So that's a great point, and that's something that I honestly would 100% agree with. I don't think there's any argument against that. If you see the Miners share a post and you're the Lions, go share it, and vice versa. There's nothing against that. It's not going to hurt anybody in my mind. So that's a great point. It's a great point for sure, and that would be something that I would like to see more often as well. Anything else? Awesome. Well, as always, man, if you guys are watching right now, make sure to hit the like button wherever you're at, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, wherever you guys are watching. Hit the like button, share the stream, help us grow this show. We're here every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. We cover all of the major indoor football leagues, and a lot of times we even cover the smaller ones as such the AAL2 and stuff like that. We try to give an equal amount of coverage to all these different indoor football leagues. Most importantly, if you have an indoor football league or team in your area, go support. Go check out a game. Bring your kids, bring your nieces, nephews, whatever. Kids love it. They get to meet the players afterward. They get autographs. It's not like the NFL. You get to go meet the players, shake their hands, talk to them, have a conversation, take pictures, autographs, all that stuff. You get to go on the field afterward. It's a really good time, and it's definitely cost effective and pocket friendly compared to some of the other professional sports out there. And on top of that, you're also helping these guys continue to chase their dreams. So that's really what matters most. Continuing to give these opportunities to college guys that came out of school and didn't have the opportunities available to them in the NFL, CFL, UFL, so they continue to play and then get those opportunities. So as always, check out the merch from Shady Sports Network. You can get that on brandingblanks.com. In our Shady Sports Network section, we have fantasy report shirts available as well, and we probably will be expanding that clothing line later this season. And then as always, we've got Bus Stop coming up in an hour and 15 minutes. So kick it with the Bus Stop later on today, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.